Hi, I'm Tim Mahoney. Welcome to the Thinker Update. We're continuing to look at the David Rohl lecture series, and this week we're going to look at the conquest. But what's really exciting about this week is that we're going to show you some information that wasn't in the original film. And we're going to take you to a whole nother level in the investigation. And David Rohl is going to tell us and show us evidence that matches the story of Joshua and a city called Shechem.
So we come now to Jericho, the ruins of Jericho as they are today, excavated principally by Kathleen Kenyon in the 1950s, but other scholars before that. And she dug these trenches through the tell, or through the mound, which are like a layer cake, so I can go down there and I can investigate the walls at the side and see what was happening, passing through time. That's one of her excavation photographs. This is me clambering up a ladder to try and look at some pottery coming out of the side of the cutting, to try and date the level. And here we see something very interesting. Here is the foundation of the city wall. The mud brick wall would have been up here, and here we have a sloping plastered surface called a glacis, which is the outer defensive system, which runs down to a revetment wall at the bottom, which holds the whole mound up. What I'll do now is I'll just show you that graphically. Here's the city wall on top, here's the plastered glacis, and here's the revetment wall at the bottom, made of stone. And then the Israelites would have attacked this, but they would have real difficulty in getting up that slippery, plastered slope, while people were throwing slingshots at them and firing at them from above. Very difficult. But of course they didn't need to attack the city because the wall fell down. And that's exactly what happened with this city. That wall at the top was found by Kathleen Kenyon at the bottom. All the bricks from that wall were at the bottom here. The wall fell down and rolled down the slope, ended up at the bottom. So the Israelites, each one, would enter up into the city, one behind the other. So the Jericho that we see there matches the biblical story perfectly. If we go to the northern part of Israel, to Hazor, the foremost of the kingdoms, as it says in the Bible, we see a similar remarkable story. This is the royal quarter of Hazor. This is the palace area up here with the gateway. And this is what Joshua 11:10-11 says. Joshua then turned back and captured Hazor, putting its king Jabin to the sword. Hazor in olden days was the foremost of those kingdoms. In compliance with the curse of destruction, they put every living creature to the sword, not a living soul was left, and Hazor was burnt to the ground. Now what's remarkable about this is that when the archaeologists started to dig below the Iron Age gate and the late Bronze Age palace, down in this rather deep area here, they came across the Middle Bronze Age palace, the one of the time of Jericho was destroyed. And they found a tablet down there. And this is the tablet fragment they found. And it's a letter addressed to the king of Hazor, who lived in that palace. You know what his name was? His name was Yabni, which is the biblical name Jabin. So we actually have a text from the Middle Bronze Age palace mentioning the king who Joshua stuck his sword into when he conquered the city. In the Middle Bronze Age. Eventually, when the whole land was conquered, the Israelites gathered together at the city of Shechem, modern Nablus. And there, the whole congregation heard a speech from Joshua where he erected a standing stone and he told them to swear loyalty to Yahweh and then to go off to their different homes scattered all around the territory they conquered. Well, this is the city of Shechem in the Middle Bronze Age, and here you can see the foundations of the great temple of Baal Berith, Lord of the Covenant, and standing in front of it, watch that, it's a standing stone in front of the temple. Let me reconstruct it for you. This is the temple of Baal Berith, Lord of the Covenant, and here is the standing stone of Joshua erected in front of that temple in the Middle Bronze Age. Now this temple was destroyed by fire, according to the archaeology. Soon afterwards, the whole of the Middle Bronze Age city was destroyed, but the temple was burnt to the ground. And then we match that with a biblical story. In Judges 9:45-49, all that day King Abimelech attacked the town. He stormed it and slaughtered the people inside, razed the town, and sowed it with salt. On hearing this, all the leading men inside Migdal Shechem took refuge in the crypt of the temple of Baal Berith. Abimelech's men piled branches over the crypt and set it on fire over those who were inside, so that all the people in Migdal Shechem died too. About 1,000 men and women died inside that temple. And we find archaeology matches exactly with that story. The temple was burnt to the ground and never rebuilt. So that covenant stone, discovered by Ernst Zellin, the archaeologist who excavated the site, I believe is the covenant stone of Joshua, the one that he erected at the site. And then these words appear in Joshua 24, 25, 28. That day Joshua erected a covenant for the people. He laid down a statute and ordinance for them at Shechem. Joshua wrote these words in the book of the law of Yahweh. He then took up a large stone and set it up there under the oak tree in Yahweh's sanctuary. Joshua then dismissed the people, everyone to his own heritage. So we have, to this day, standing in the middle of the town of Nablus in Palestine, the covenant stone of Joshua, completely unrecognized for what it is by both the Israeli government and all the Jews and all the Christians. They don't know what that is. They ignore it. Why? Because it's far too early to be Joshua's covenant stone. It's in the wrong era, as far as they're concerned. And now it's covered in Intifada graffiti. The kids have daubed it with paint. It's standing there forlorn. This is one of the most important artifacts from the Old Testament, standing there unidentified to this day.
When I learned about this stone, I was absolutely fascinated by it. But I want to tell you something that happened early in the 1900s. When Zellin first found that stone and he connected it to the biblical story, the other German archaeologist was furious. In fact, Zellin got fired, and the other archaeologist took that stone and threw it into a dump and broke it. And it wasn't until years later, when other archaeologists knew about that, they dug it up and they put it in its place. The rest of the story, it's fascinating. Well, we'll be back next week for more Thinkers Update.